Hi friends, welcome back to my studio. I'm Katie, and today we've got stacks. My 2024 stack, my 2025 stack. I finally feel like I've got the last pieces in place, and so I think it's time to talk about them. So grab a drink. I've got my latte here with my little dragon friend, and we're gonna hang out, talk some planners. I think the way that makes sense most to talk about them is to go one by one, like comparing and contrasting. I'm gonna get some of these a little out of frame because I'm a little overwhelmed here. So let's start briefly by talking about what was in my 2024 stack. I had a passport everyday carry, a paper tests undated weekly notebook for work, B6 vertical half years as my journal from Sterling Ink, and a 5-year journal that I was making myself using a plain notebook from Paper Test Designs. So that's how we started the year. Yeah, none of these came in later. This is how I started the year. And it's been a good year, but it's been one where I've felt a lot of desire to switch things up here at the end. So I don't think a single one of these is staying, which is weird, but that's how it goes. So let's get into it one by one. Let's see. Let's start with like the planning, the big kahuna planning aspect. I think the very beginning of the year I was doing home tasks in the weekly of the B6, and I was doing on-the-go tasks in my passport, and that fell apart reasonably quickly. I stopped doing any like weekly planning in this, and it all became in my passport. And this is kind of what I was doing here. I had the pencil is memory keeping of what actually happened. The pen is what I had planned on doing, and I loved this for months, and then I just stopped. Looks like maybe around May things started falling off the wagon, and by July I just like couldn't anymore. I didn't feel like there was enough room for lists. Like if this was going to be where all of my planning was, I needed like more space. I love the passport. I can write small. I could jam it all in there, but like I wasn't enjoying myself once it needed to have all my stuff in here. So in around July I stopped, and it broke my heart a little bit because I loved this planner so much and I was so excited for it when I bought it. And it's like the cutest little thing of all time, but it just like wasn't working for me, and I like just gave myself permission to let it go. I didn't buy anything new. I switched to like printables and whatever. That's what I've been doing since July. And then actually here in the last couple weeks, I've actually gone back to doing all of my planning in the B6 the last few weeks. So only the last 3 weeks or so, but I'll probably finish out the year here. And the difference is, what changed is that I started carrying this around back and forth to work with me. In terms of, I gotta get rid of some of this stuff on the frame. In terms of what I'm going into for next year, I have talked about that fairly extensively here on the channel. I'm moving to B6 Slim, which I find to be kind of the right combination between the passport and the B6. It's just like about a ½ an inch narrower than the full B6. And I find it to be like a really nice size. I've used Weeks notebooks quite a lot. We'll get to that in the future of this video. And this is very Weeks adjacent sized. It's a little wider. There you go. A little wider, slightly shorter. I find it to be an incredibly pleasant aspect ratio. And I've posted a video. I cut out the extra daily pages here at the back so that it's really just the planning pages, so that I have less weight to carry. I'll link that video below. I'm gonna do like a fuller video where I talk about all the sticky notes and how I'm using each of the pages, But here's just how my everyday carry is going to look. I have a practice spread I did in a week in June where I know I'm going to be traveling. But I'm using it almost like a hold everything dashboard. I'm going to have daily tasks here in the horizontal. I'm going to have events and timed related things in this little vertical spread I've made. I have some lists here. I'm going to use this section for like long-term lists, you know, things I want to do across the month or even across the quarter, and then like an Alistair method task list for things I haven't scheduled for a particular day. I am so excited about this. I think I'm going to be able to fit so much information, and I know I'm going to have to write small. It's going to be cluttered, but I succeed best when everything is immediately visible to me. If I have to switch pages, I'm going to forget about it. So I'm excited to have some of my longer term tasks right here. I'm planning on putting those on a post-it note and moving them from page to page. I'm excited to have my meal plan on here. I'm just like excited to have all of it. And so that's what my everyday carry is going to be. There's some front matter. We'll talk about that in a different video. But in terms of like the overview of my lineup, that's the planner, and I'm stoked about it. The stickers, by the way, I made myself, and so I don't have a link for you for those. Okay, that's the planner. I guess let's knock out the journal next, because I've already done the individual video on this. So the journal in the back of my B6 Slim, I'm sorry, my B6 planner has been looking like this. A lot of painting, a lot of drawing, this like side view. I'm moving that into B6 Slim inserts. As I said, I have a video talking about that. That's so that I can paste as many things as I want, draw, paint, and not worry about how bulky it's getting, and not worry about if I'm taking my journal around town with me. I only have about a month's worth at a time, and so the fear of losing it isn't so much. And then I think that the format that I'm going to be using is like the kind of, here's today's, this like rapid log kind of thing, where I've got these like headers instead of the like sidebar. I have them in the text, and then a little rapid log journaling. I've only been doing that for like 12 hours, so stay tuned for that. But that's how I'm thinking I'm going to be using that. I've got a little guide. I've got some watercolor paper here. As I said, I've talked about this and kind of what the mentality there was. But that's going to be my daily journal for the upcoming year. The last part of my like everyday carry stack here is going to be this Hobonichi Weeks. Right now it's in a separate cover because I have started using it, but it does fit into the back cover of this B6 Slim cover that I made. Obviously this looks really thick here with that, but they all fit together, and that's going to be like just a bundle that I carry around with me everywhere. And that's why I cut the pages out of the sterling ink, is that I wanted to like reduce some weight on this whole packet. This is a new one for me, and I don't think I'm going to do a separate video about it, so I'll talk about it a little more here. I don't know that this is going to be a planner you're going to see much on this channel. This is my therapy and mental health journal. I've just started talk therapy in the last couple of weeks. I'm finding it really, really helpful, but I needed a place to track some of this stuff that my therapist and I were talking about, and to like keep notes for what I want to talk to her about, and notes for our sessions. So I'm not gonna get too deep into here. I don't have necessarily a goal for all of these pages. The December monthly I'm using as like kind of a chart for my tea advent calendar, which I'm finding really fun, and which I did buy for my mental health because I find the like cozy tea to be like a key part of relaxing at night. So that's been fun. And then let me show you one of these spreads. Hold on. Yeah, I think this is an okay one to show you. So these are notes from my session, just kind of here, just scratching them down while we talk, and then a little recap in a little neater so that I know what I'm doing going forward. That's what I'm doing on the right. On the left, I fill in this like soothe, connect, release. And that's things that I try to notice to do every day to kind of help relieve some of my anxiety, some different strategies to try each day. And in the left, I'm writing down what's making me anxious. So that's what I have going on here. In the notes pages, we'll see how I end up using that. I was thinking of just some more book notes from some books that she recommended to me. So I don't think this is like where I'm going to be doing like deep personal thoughts that I don't know that I want to carry around all year in this journal in my everyday carry, but I am glad to have a place for it, and I've found it really helpful so far in the 2 weeks I've been using it. But I'm glad to have that as part of my layout. I had bought this Hobonichi Weeks thinking it was maybe going to be a work planner, and then it wasn't the right thing for that. We'll talk about my work planner here in a second, but I bought it because I liked the cover. And I know that I like the week size and layout. I wasn't sure about the cream paper. I'd still rather it be white, but it doesn't bother me in this context because I'm mostly using blackish ink, and so how the color looks isn't as big a deal. But so I bought this long before I realized I was going to start therapy, and also I wasn't sure how I was going to use it, and things came together nicely. I don't feel like I'm like shoehorning this in. I don't really enjoy a shoehorn, and honestly I kind of think this design kind of feels apt for a therapy journal, so I'm really glad to have a good use for that and to have it. All right, let's talk work planner. This year I've been in the weekly notebook Undated from Paper Tess. Here's what it looks like. It's got like a place for schedule and for tasks, and I've got, here's kind of what it looks like. And I really like this. There have been times where this has worked really well for me, and I've totally fallen off the wagon with it. My work has changed, and I just haven't been at my desk as much. I've been relying more just on lists in the back. But the beauty of Undated is that I don't feel too bad setting this aside. I expect to come back to it, and it will be ready for me when I do. I do really love this design. I just haven't been doing it. And beautiful book, really love it. Glad to have it at my disposal again in the future. This is actually the latest breaking version. I expected until yesterday to just still be using this. But yesterday I was thinking, well, okay, my work, not a lot of my work happens in my planner. I think you saw that. Like, I work as a scientist, a lot of lab notebooking in official capacities, a lot of a thing that takes all day. Sometimes I feel the need to like really obsessively break down all the steps, but often I just don't, and all I need to write is like what experiment I'm doing and like 2 other things. So it's not that I don't have a lot of tasks. I just don't feel like I need to write down a lot of tasks. But one of the pain points in my work, well, I mean in all of my life, but in work in particular, is that there are tasks that I need to do once a month, but it doesn't matter when I do them. And I don't have a good way of capturing that. Like, I could schedule them, but I'm not gonna necessarily do them on the day that I'm gonna schedule them, and then they're gonna kind of like disappear. So that got my brain thinking yesterday. I was in brainstorming frame of mind, and I was thinking about the Laurel Denise planners. You know, the spiral bound planners where they've got like a big monthly and then like little half sheets for your weekly, so that you're always like looking at your month while you're working on your weeks. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I wonder if I can hack something. So here's my current plan. This is a Paper Monkey Co. Week size planner. Or notebook. I actually used this in 2023 before I bought the paper test. So I was just doing like kind of a Hobonichi week style horizontal. And I still had it kicking around because, again, for these undated things, I feel pretty free to like come and go as it suits me. I want to use all the pages eventually, but like they don't have to be in the same year, in my opinion. So here's how I'm testing it out. And I think for me, as someone who doesn't have a ton of tasks, a week's size is really nice. I think BC6 Slim would be even better for me and give these columns a little bit more width. I think for some people, a standard size would be, I keep getting out of frame. A standard size would be awesome for this too, if you wanted to have like bigger taller monthly boxes and taller like dailies or weekly, whatever. Anyway, so I drew the month, and because I only work Monday through Friday, I was able to make my boxes bigger by only dividing it by 6 instead of by 8. So I've got a monthly task list here. I've got my monthly layout here with timed appointments. I don't have a ton of timed appointments. That's not the majority of how my work goes. And also it's December, so there's nothing really scheduled for these last 2 weeks. But I've got the monthly here, and then I was gonna do like little Dutch doors for my weekly. So here would be where a weekly list goes, and here is where my daily lists go. And then I can just I haven't cut more, but I can just flip the little Dutch doors and keep my monthly front and center and have my weeklies change. I think that's really fun. I'm excited to try it out. Obviously, I haven't really lived with it. It was Friday when I wanted to do it, and it doesn't seem right to make like a whole weekly for just Friday. So we'll start with it next week. We'll have 2 weeks to play with it before break. But I'm interested in this. What I wasn't sure about is like, if you're doing these Dutch doors for the bottom, I'm gonna have all of this upper part for all the weeks that I'm not using. And I haven't decided how I want to have that not feel wasteful. I'm thinking about maybe leaving it for dailies when I need to really when I'm in a state where I need to really list everything out. And then maybe also for some notes and whatever. And so hopefully I can keep my monthly and my weekly chunks of paper roughly equivalent. That's my goal, so it doesn't get super lumpy. I have some other ideas if that doesn't work, but I don't want to waste 2/3 of the page 3/4 of the time. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. I think this would be perfect. I like to design printables as well. I think this would work great in personal or maybe personal wide rings, and then have these be partial pages, and then you don't have to worry about cutting out partial pages from a bound book. But I kind of want it to be a bound book, and I have this book, and I think I don't use anywhere near a page per day, but I think that this could work for daily lists for those days that I need a little more room. So I'm excited about this. This also works well because normally my job hasn't had a lot of having to plan the whole week, but I've been working on a project recently where you grow some bacteria one day and you have to count them the next day, and so there's been a lot more if this then that kind of thing, and it's helpful to see it kind of all together. I got too far into this than I meant to. I was going to do a separate video, But I don't usually actually talk about my work planner too much. So I don't think I'm going to film a separate video for that. But I'll try to do an update on the Dutch door layout. Or maybe we'll do a plan with me in January. That could be fun. All right, the last thing in my stack was my 5-year. And it's been a mess. I'm not gonna lie, it used to be in a different notebook. I was retranscribing it. This would have been my 3rd year. I was having a really hard time keeping up with it. It's just like, there are days where there's 3, there's days where there's 0. It's all about where I am in my transcription. I have all this information somewhere. Like, there are very few days that I don't have anything, but I couldn't keep up with this. I was constantly putting it off, and then I was catching up, and I was feeling guilty. Now, I think I might just need to come to the conclusion that this kind of journaling is a thing I do once a week based off of my daily journal. And I think if I think about it that way and I don't constantly feel as if I'm behind, then maybe that will make me feel better. But another key element that I discovered is that some of the times I want to work on this, I can't because it's not with me. And I decided to take a fairly dramatic switch and go digital. So I'm using an app called Day One. I've been using it for a couple months. What I like about it is that it's easy to just include a picture, and I don't have to worry about how much I write. And I also have made a template, where I have like a currently already set up. And so if I can't do any other journaling, I can at least fill in these things, and I feel like they encompass a fair amount of what I'd want to put in. So this is a paid app for all the functionality. There is a free version. I did decide to pay for it. I am enjoying it, but I am also discovering that everywhere I go, there I am. And so my bad habits about procrastinating on them continue, but at least when I do feel the inspiration to work on it, I can do it anywhere, on my phone, on my computer, on my iPad, wherever I am. And so that has helped keep me a little more up to date. I just am also working on like my why of like what information gets caught here as opposed to somewhere else. But so that's the Day One app, and that's my plan for my like multi-year journal going forward, at least for the moment. Another thing I like about it is that you can go and backdate things from not just, you know, the last couple days, but previous years. And I have been moving information from my Facebook memories onto here, which I also enjoy. So I can have, you know, I only started my 5-year journal 3 years ago, but I have memories that I can put in here from like 12, 14, 15 years ago. And so that's really fun. Oh, the last thing is also digital. I forgot. So the last thing in my lineup this year is the MakseLife Goal Setting Companion Digital Notebook. Last year I messed around with the MakseLife printables and really enjoyed it. And I thought about just sticking with the printables this year. I think you get a lot of the information that you need that way, but I like the system. I kind of wanted to give them some money. I do think these are a little more expensive than I wanted them to be, but the Goal Setting Companion Notebook is undated, and so I can use it year after year. So I decided to go ahead and spend the $42 to get it. And this is where I'm doing goal setting and like some weekly task stuff. So what I enjoy about the MakseLife system is that you set your annual goals and you break them down, and then like every month you look at your annual goals and your schedule for the month, and you pick monthly goals, and then every week you look at your monthly goals and you break them down into weekly goals. And obviously all of that makes sense, but I'm not good at thinking about yearly goals on a weekly basis, and I like the way that this emphasizes that. So say for January, there's a place to put my goals. I've started filling some of this in. There's an easy place to click and go back to my monthly goals. And then if you keep scrolling, then there's a place to do your weeklies, and you just keep going and do your weeklies. And I plan on moving these weekly actions. Like, here's where I'm going to brainstorm them, but I'm going to put them in my everyday carry, probably in that like monthly like section. What I appreciate about this is that it helps me keep my eyes on what matters, what I've decided matters to me for this year. And it's very easy for me to forget to do that otherwise. And so I like that about this system. And I like designating weekly tasks in my planner that feel like they're moving me towards this, right? And so I probably am going to use like a marker or something to make these. I don't think I'm going to do the full colors in my everyday carry because I think that's going to be more colorful than I want. But I think I might use a specific dot marker, and yet to designate weekly tasks that are moving me towards my goals, so that while I have both like do laundry and, you know, a more MakseLife kind of goal tasks in my list, if I can visually see which ones are moving me more towards where I want to be, hopefully I will prioritize and do those, and also like feel the accomplishment that I'm like moving forward. I'm not like a super goal oriented person in my personal life. I just enjoy following my whims. Like, I think it's fun and it's not harming me, but there are some places where I could really use some focus and some vision. And so I'm going to be working that here and then transferring that into my everyday carry. Okay, I said I was going to do separate videos about things, and I mostly actually just covered everything I wanted to say about almost all of them except my everyday carry. So I'll do a separate video on my everyday carry, but otherwise I think you're like prepped. So this is the stack for this year. It's more individual items. No, this one's from last year. I feel pretty good about that. I'm not a person who thrives in like lots of different planners, lots of different places. You know, my default position is that I want everything right where I can see it. And for the most part, once I put my weeks planner into this whole thing, like they're all going to be together. And I am hopeful that is going to work really well for me. So that's my lineup for this year. I am really enjoying watching everyone else's in the community's lineups. If you don't have a YouTube channel of your own, feel free to talk to me in the comments, or if you do, either way, let's talk in the comments and say, I'm curious, like what percentage of your system is staying the same between 2024 and 2025? Like, are you like, yes, this worked for me last year and I'm using it again? Or like me, like who has like, I think I have 100% turnover this year. So I'd be curious to chat about that. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye, friends.